Hello. We are live, everybody, with John DeVries versus Jim Andrew, and this is going to be a really cool match. It's 4 games, 2 tonight and then 2 on Saturday. Game in 45, I believe, delay 5, and the loser has to not get a pie in the face, but get wear their opponent's political favorites shirt, which is a big deal for these guys because they like their guy, you know. So if you're a Biden fan, you don't want to be wearing a Trump shirt, and if you're a Trump shirt, you probably don't want to be wearing a Biden. Trump fan, you probably don't want to be wearing a Biden shirt. Anyway, that's what's at stake here, which is probably worse than a pie in the face, in my opinion. Having to wear the other party's shirt. Oh no. Anyways, that sounds kind of miserable. I'd rather take a pie in the face. That's just me, though. I already did take a pie in the face. It wasn't so bad. Daniel went easy on me. All right, but the game is live. I'm caught up with the moves. Let's go back and look at the opening. So we had e4, a French, and then this knight c3 move, which I don't know much about the French. All I know is I'm normally just pushing, the advanced French, which is probably the most common. Instead, we get this bishop pin thing. And I guess technically that was a gambit of a pawn there. Right? Was it not? Takes. And then you got to take back, and then that pawn goes away. So that was a gambit there. Instead, we've got some just strange. It's just a strange opening. I don't know. I don't have much experience with the French. My man Chase Ross, who knows a lot about openings and whatnot, would probably be all over this. We've got a very cramped position, though, for white. And I guess black and we haven't really advanced yet, so it's kind of like a strange situation here. We're trying to chase the bishop out of town. And in the live game, now I'm behind. What happened in the live game? We got in peasant. And then we take back. And then the knight is arriving on c6. Now we get the bishop sliding over. I mean, sorry, the rook sliding over. Huh. So what's going on here? I mean, this pawn is capturable still, so we could just do that. Knight G to E7 is another idea which has been played. And now, what does white do? This bishop is stuck. So I think like fianchettoing is an option. We can move the knight, I guess. Maybe we could go like knight here or something. We could just chase this bishop back. What would be my recommendation? I mean, or just e5. But I feel like if you were going to play e5, why don't you just start with that? So I don't see e5 being played now. We get this bishop move, which I don't quite understand, because now your knight's pinned again, and this pawn is still hanging. So, I mean, takes is probably the best move. Could just castle. I don't know. I feel like now, you know, we're still 2 moves away from castling, and I think like clearly if we're gonna castle, right, we got to get our bishop out. So what do we do? I mean, surely Jim sees this this pawn take move. I mean, that just makes a lot of sense. Take, and then what? I mean, you still have the problem of castling, but you can just chase the bishop out, and then I don't know, like say something here, and then I mean, you can even just keep bullying stuff here on the queen side. Now you can take back your pawn though. So I mean, I guess you know the pawn on e4 is gonna be captured most likely. So it's not as bad as I had thought. Moving the bishop, it just wouldn't be my choice too. I just don't like the pin. Like, okay, so we get castles after this, not takes. Let me back up here. So we've got that, and now we've got castles. So it looks like another Jim. Hey, Jim was in the chat at some point. Actually, let's see if we can get the chat on here. We got enough real estate. The you're stuck with second string commentary tonight. The star of the team, Chase Ross, is unable to make this evening, so you're stuck with me. All right, so now we have moving the knight out to g3, which really fianchettoing the bishop was kind of a cool idea, I think, because it looks like this diagonal is going to open up a little bit, but that's not going to happen. So I guess the plan is to move the bishop out to here or here, I mean, you could move it out here, but I don't really see the point in that. Probably d3 would be my choice. Because black's bishop isn't going to be challenging this diagonal here. So I think just bishop to e3 at some point makes sense. There's still this move. There's also, now that this knight left, there's this. And you have to recapture with the rook, which is a little awkward. Hi, Liv. Hi. Did you want to walk? My daughter went on a walk. Hi. Oh, you gotta have this. Hi.
Come on, Libby.
Hi. Daddy's commenting on chess. Cool, right? Wow.
He's gonna do his thing, Libby. We're gonna take a bath. We're dirty.
Sorry about that, everybody. Okay, so let me make sure I'm all cut up here. Yeah, the knight went out, and now we have f5. Okay, bringing it. I like it, you know? Let's just... Black's king's still in the center, so let's just start attacking. I like this. And then we get takes.
Mom.
And...
Mama. Dada. When you get fish.
What?
Yogurt.
Yogurt? I think there's yogurt in the kitchen.
Okay,
Ha, that was funny. I muted the PC audio, which was the music instead of my audio. It's amateur hour here. Sorry, everybody. Everybody meaning one viewer, I think. Okay, so we get takes back. Now we are dead equal. So, what's the best move now? I think... Well, that's a fork. So, probably gotta move one of these pieces. Which piece did we move? I mean, I think the bishop doesn't really have anywhere great to go. I mean, it was here, right? Which was fine, but then you're dropping that pawn. So I think you got to move the knight. And if you're going to move the knight, I guess you can go here and here. Although if you do venture out here, black's going to have ideas to make it quite unpleasant, I feel like. For that knight out there, I think that's just maybe, I don't know, a little too risky. But maybe not. So probably just coming back here again makes sense. But yeah, we're dead equal, more or less. Okay, minus 0.03. Black with the slightest of edges. Okay, we moved the bishop. Interesting. But what's wrong with this? I mean, oh, yeah, so moving the knight, right? Hitting the bishop with tempo. And the king is still in the center, so, And Jim finds it. Very nice find. So we've got the knight hitting the bishop with tempo. You can guard the bishop with the queen. or a knight technically if you want to move the knight there. But this rook's coming over. You're gonna have to cover up. It's just feeling a little precarious for white now. It's not lost or anything. You just feel black sort of playing the opening maybe a little bit better than white in this game. So let's see here. I mean, there aren't a whole lot of options, right? I mean, you have to move the bishop basically back to one of these two squares or protect the bishop. And there aren't really many ways to protect the bishop. You could move the queen here. You could move the queen there. You could move the knight here. So those are kind of the only options. I guess knight h5 isn't that bad. Or is it? No, I don't see anything wrong with knight h5. I guess the queen could come in at some point. But we don't really care because we're guarding it with our queen here. So that's not too bad. Let's see what John does, because I don't know. This is where I would start to maybe feel the pressure in this game if I were John. And so I'm interested to see how he handles it. I think, yeah, I would probably use a fair bit of time here. Okay, so he's protecting the piece with the queen. Is his choice? Which, I mean, takes. So he doesn't want his bishop, basically. He seems fine to get rid of this knight. Which, I mean, there's still this option, right? That's probably like the move I would play. Just make white cover their king somehow. And then apply more pressure. Oh my lord. If rook e8, the computer's recommendation after this says that the best move, which no one is ever going to play this, is just king d1, because we're just safe there, right? That's hilarious. I guess it's just fine. You're just fine on d1. You don't need to castle. Yeah, that's not going to happen. That is not going to happen in a million years. So if rook e1, I mean, I think it makes perfect sense to cover up with the bishop, right? Because we want to castle anyways. And I mean, we've got two knights defending the bishop. This knight's pinned, but you know, we've got three protectors of the bishop. The queen is guarding this pawn and this bishop, so the queen doesn't really count as a guardian of this bishop necessarily. So, but I still think I would probably do the bishop, get castled, and then bring one of these rooks, probably the F rook, to the center ASAP, and then I'm feeling like sort of okay about things. Right now, though, not the case. I mean, I feel like Jim is almost certainly going to just play rook e8. I don't see him taking just yet, because what's the harm in rook e8? I mean, you're just hitting the king, and this bishop's still going to be here next turn, so. So yeah, we are in for probably a wild game. The way that this is shaping up, it seems a little bit chaotic, and I have a feeling somebody's going to break through in a big way. I don't know who, but it just seems like it doesn't seem like these players are playing a very how should I say it, just conservative. It seems like they're willing to kind of take some risks, and so it should be very exciting for us. But time is ticking down for Jim, but Jim is fine with time. Both of the players are pretty much fine. And Jim takes the top computer move and just takes the bishop immediately. And we can just assume that the queen is taking back. There's just no other move. So that should be appearing as soon as John finishes probably notating the previous move. And there we have it. So, okay, interesting. Jim decides to hit the open file with the queen, which wouldn't be my first choice. I like using the rook. I like using the rook because it accomplishes what you were trying to do, which was hit the king. But now your queen, which can do other things, would be freed up and still have the pin on the king. But black still has an advantage. It's not like a losing move or anything. It just, I would just have preferred, if it was me, using the rook to hit with check. And we cover up with the bishop, which is my top choice. Okay, so I see maybe he's looking at this pawn. I'm seeing now what his idea was. Makes sense. And he takes. However, it does allow castling now. I mean, we're hitting this pawn still. Black's a pawn up already. So I don't know. I don't quite know what to make of this position. I think it's just too risky to try to hang on to this b3 pawn. Like, we just got to get our king to like safety. Like, how do we protect this pawn right now? I mean, like, this rook is being hit by this queen, and this queen's protecting it, but like, we don't want to get our queen, like, you know, battered around the board and just have to be watching this rook. Like, let's just castle, connect the rooks, and allow this pawn to be taken, and then try to come up with some plans to, you know, I mean, obviously this pawn's hanging, so it's kind of like we're trading pawns. I would definitely, like, 100%, I would just be castling right now. Other ideas, I don't understand what else there is to do. Okay, John does it. Great job, John. Got the king to safety. All right, now we can have some fun. What are the plans now? I mean, I guess your queen's there, and you might as well just grab that pawn. Because we're defending, right? We're defending the thing I just said. So it's not like white is grabbing that pawn. I just can't see the board, and I'm a horrible chess player. So yeah, black's gonna take, I'm assuming, on b3, because why not? You're already up a pawn, just grab another one. So the guys are tied in the match. 0-0. This is game 1. Alright, we got queen takes. Wait a second. What is going on here? What on earth is happening? So what about this? And we can't take because uh-oh, spaghetti-o, as Hikaru would say. Game over. So we can't do that. That's an interesting little tactic. Maybe my previous suggestion of taking was just good instinct. No, I didn't see this, but boom, boom, not good. So go ahead and take. It's, I guess, not that hard to see once you've seen it, but will John find this little tactic of winning the d5 pawn? If not, what else is there to do? You can gallop the knight in somewhere. You know, put pressure. I don't know. Bring the queen in. Let's just attack. Might as well. Black, even though black is 2 pawns up, doesn't quite have the piece coordination that white does. Like, this bishop is I don't know, not a huge factor. I guess it's hitting this knight right now, but this bishop's stuck back here right now. So I guess what I'm saying is white's just a little bit further in development. But we do have to do something about this knight, because there's tactics here though, right? Like, let's say we did this, for instance, and black decided to take. I don't know. Yeah, I guess that doesn't work. So instead, John is moving the knight back. Okay, I don't know about this. This seems like, where does the knight go from here, right? It can't go here, here. I guess it could go there, but I don't know. It just feels kind of yucky. So black in the driver's seat again. John had this pawn for the taking. Didn't see it. I didn't see it either. So what now? What to do? Okay, the black queen is kind of hanging out in no man's land right now. I feel like the queen side although we have a lot of space, is not really. I mean, we've taken all the pawns over here, so maybe we have to start focusing our attention elsewhere. So now we're going even deeper into the position to hit the pawn again. Interesting. So our idea is to take this pawn. We can bring the rook over and protect, which is probably the best move. We can also ignore the threat and go for an attack. The space is kind of clearing out here, so I mean, it's already been quite sharp and tactical. Yeah, this is why I'm just looking over at the chat. This is why I got to get the chat on the screen. Mr. Lin says, how about knight b5? Not sure when that was, though. Okay, so white is straight up ignoring. Is this a real move? Is this really what happened? I'm confused. Because now, I mean, just that's a free pawn, right? I don't quite understand what's going on. I think we just lost a pawn. You could even take with the queen, I guess, if you wanted. Yeah, so I mean, black just really in the driver's seat now. That'll be 3 pawns up. I don't see how. I don't really see any easy plans for white. I mean, this pawn's weak, but your light squared bishop is kind of in a strange spot at the moment. We need to be like here, or I guess here, but the queen's kind of guarding that square. So what's going to happen here? I mean, both the guys have plenty of time. 22 minutes. Good time, good clock management by both guys. What to do? I get very nervous as a player taking a piece like this, pawn in this case, where my piece will be under attack by another piece, and the piece guarding is my queen. It always just makes me a little bit nervous, right? Because it's like remove the defender type thing, right? So like now if my queen gets hit, I got to make sure that I can always protect this, and it just is stressful. So I probably would have just taken with the queen and just said, okay, I'm 3 pawns up, like let's just bring this home and win. The computer liked knight takes, and that's exactly what Jim does. We can't do this idea because the knight's guarding it, and I don't think there is another way to hit the queen. Is there? Is there a way for white to hit the queen? I don't think so. This boogeyman that I saw doesn't even exist. So I guess good on Jim to take with the knight. But me personally, I would have just traded down and just tried to win 3 pawns up. And just, I mean, pass pawn, connected pass pawns, trade everything down, and it should be a slam dunk. Yeah, white just doesn't have any pawns at all on the queen side. All pawns gone. So what's John gonna do now? I was trying to look at this. Trying to get tricky here, right? Pin the knight. Maybe we can win a knight somehow. The knight can jump into check, but the queen is covering that. And is protected by this knight in case the queen recaptures, and by the bishop. But after this, I suppose black could bring in here, and then you kind of... No, but then you got this pawn. So I don't know. Like, what is wrong with this? Like, just in theory. Oh, it loses, of course. I missed this. Yes, of course. That is game over. So yeah, don't do that. That's why it's so much fun to just have an engine to just tell you. I mean, just, like, what is the plan? Like, what are we trying to do here? Trying to find a way for white.
Dad.
Just not sure. Oh, hi, Liv.
Dad.
Hi.
It is it.
What you doing? Did you take a bath? Excuse me, everybody.
Hi, Daddy. Hi.
All right, we're back. So what do we want to do here? Just trying to come up with a plan. It just feels so yucky right now. Like our bishop's stuck. I mean, sorry, our knight's stuck in the corner there. How do we get the knight freed up? Okay, if we move this rook over here, we can clear a path for the knight to get out. So that's kind of one thing I'm looking at.
Dad.
Okay, and John finds it. Okay, trying to clear a path for his knight. I like it. Rook over. Let's get this knight into the game. We need to untangle, right? We can't have this rook guarding this knight forever in the corner. This knight's got to get out. And once we get the knight out, maybe with this open board, we can just basically launch an attack on the king. Try not to trade any more pieces. Other than this knight, obviously, which has just been a horrible piece. Although, to that end, if we do bring out the knight and we get a trade, there's no taking back with the rook because the queen is hitting this rook. So that's not a possibility. So unfortunately, bringing out the knight would almost certainly force a queen trade. And then we're left with two rooks and 2 pieces, down 3 pawns. Ay, ay, ay. What can we do? What can we do? What's black's plan now? I mean, black... If I'm black, I'm just going to try to trade everything. Yeah, obviously trade everything, but... I mean, this bishop hasn't moved yet, right? We want to connect the rooks. It's just something we always want to do. Where would the bishop go? This bishop could come here. But it's just kind of a target there, so why don't we just bring the bishop here? I don't know. I mean, here's fine too, but I don't like being... Whoops. I don't like being behind. I can't draw arrows. This bishop to that square. I don't like being behind my two pawns like that, right? Like, I want to come out and then go somewhere else. Like, go out here somewhere. But, I don't know. That bishop doesn't... I mean, it's the French bishop, right? It just never seems to have a very fun time. But we're not, like, totally blocked in like most French games. I don't know. I mean, I see his plan of trying to bring out the knight. But I just don't like trading the queens and trading a set of pieces with this knight just gonna sit here. Maybe being guarded by this bishop. I don't know. Whoa. We get knight into the territory. Whew. I mean, this rook does not have many places to go. The good news is it does have some place to go, right? We can now... The knight was guarding this square here and is no longer guarding that square. I mean, this is just by far the best move right now because where else do you put the rook? There's just nowhere else to put it. Like, literally. This square's covered, this square's covered, this square's covered, this square's covered, this, you know, you get it. So, I mean, that's it. That's the move. I don't know what else to say. Assuming that's the move, which it is. Now, where do we go with the queen? Okay, that's not an option. This is an option, but I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, one of the... It's either here or here, right? If it were me, like I keep saying, like, yeah, just try to trade. Just try to trade stuff. I don't like putting my queen, you know, discovery tax happening, but actually this bishop is pinned. There's no checks happening on the king. So if the bishop were to move, you know, queen, you know, so it's not dangerous to put your queen there. And Jim does it. So now what? Now for white, since black wants to trade, I think white, to have any chance in this game, just can't trade the queens. unless it's absolutely necessary. So with that said, where do we go with our queen? I don't really like venturing into the territory when we're just going to get hit, right? So, I mean, even here, right, we're getting hit, and you just start getting bullied, right? Like, so I think if we don't want to trade queens, like, the only real option is down to f3. Otherwise, I mean, we can guard the queen and let the trade happen on our terms. So we could go here, say, fine, if you want to take, then we're going to take, and our knight's getting to a better square now. Now we're hitting the pawn. The knight right here is not doing a whole lot. So that's productive. I don't know, time's not an issue just yet, but it is going to become an issue, I think, in this game. It's so complicated enough that 15 minutes is just going to fly by. So I really think white just doesn't want to trade the queens. Because once the queens are gone in this game, it's just so difficult to manufacture anything. How do we win, you know? I don't see a win anywhere. Maybe just try to equalize somehow, but that just seems like a tall order. So with that said, I mean, it's okay. We got a couple moves really quickly there. What happened? Okay, so we did get the trade. Interesting. Black in the driver's seat, absolutely. Where does white go with... Where does white go with this rook? I really gotta get better with the chat. I'm sorry, everybody. Actually, let me see if I can get the chat on screen. Okay, we got rook up. All right, bear with me. I'm gonna try to add something here to the scene. I apologize for this mess that I'm creating. But we're gonna try our best here real quick. Lightning quick with this. Ah. Ay, ay, ay. And voila, we have the chat, ladies and gentlemen. Jeffrey was saying that queen f3. I agree with that. What is happening? Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Whoa. Whoa. Black just hung a bishop. Did that happen in reality? It did happen. Oh my lord. All right. And just like that, Just like we planned. Just like we drew it up. Just like we drew it up, guys. We're back. White with an advantage. Ouch. That was rough. Okay. So Jim's gonna have to. The hardest part now is mentally recovering from just blundering your bishop. It's a hard thing to do in chess, especially over the board. You make a big mistake, just collecting yourself and getting back at it. He's definitely still has chances. Even that's how good his position was. I mean, he just gave up a bishop and he's now just down a little bit. He's got all these, and he's got 3 passed pawns, 2 connected A and B pawns, like super powerful, right? So even though we're down a piece, I still would be fine trading all the way down to, like, I don't know, a piece and a rook versus my rook and 2 pawns. I don't know, might be holdable. Huh. All right, so Jim has collected himself and is marching forward, literally. 1 foot in front of the other, pushes f4, which seems fine to me. We get a knight retreat from John, and will Jim take is the question. Or will Jim try to preserve his pieces? Because now Jim is the one probably wanting to hang on to pieces because he just lost a piece for free. Coming back here, hitting the rook seems reasonable. But I could see wanting to just trade and then start pushing eventually. Bring a rook, bring the rooks to the center. And let's just go with these pawns here, right? I mean, maybe let's do this first, but yeah, let's just clear way for the pawns. I can totally see that being a plan. So will he go for this plan and just try to push, or will he back up and try to collect himself for a big push later? I don't know. Jeffrey's saying bishop takes h7 check. Bishop takes h7 check. Okay. Wins the knight, which it does. You give up your bishop. Let's see. Hold on. Bishop h7 check would have won the knight. That's true, but you also would have given up your knight. 2 pieces. So I think that's probably why it didn't get. The channel art is awesome. Thank you so much. Channel art. Yeah, over time. Oh, what am I doing? What is happening? Oh, I'm behind on this game. That's what's happening. The knight came, and now we're going this way. I started using OBS recently as opposed to Streamlabs, which OBS has been quite an easier thing to use, which is funny because it's the free version. Open source. All right, white in the driver's seat. It's been a topsy-turvy match. We had black pretty much dominating, I would say, most of this game. But now white has recovered, picked up a bishop, and now is calling the shots. And where's this knight going? Yikes. I don't know. I don't know where this knight's going. Whew. It's not going anywhere. We're protecting it. Best move, good find. Moving up d4. Bishop protecting. We're okay for now. White with the advantage. Black has the pawns. How do we push the pawns is the question. We have to clear a path. This rook is quite awkward, I would say. On the 5th rank, just kind of hanging out. Okay, we're going bishop to the center of the board, which allows for this fork. It allows for the fork, but you can counter like this and force a trade. So you could do this, which looks very scary, right? Because we're hitting the rook and we're also hitting this knight, which will then hit that rook. But we can just do this and force this, and then everything's fine and dandy. At the end of all this, though, we do have finally a little bit of a path here, and let's just start pushing. So is this pawn just going to save the day? We shall see. I think blockading is going to happen, but we also have this other pawn that can help, right? So pretty powerful if we can get both rooks behind and just start pushing. Maybe black can win that way. That's really probably the only way black can win, because white has an extra piece. So back to the game though. There we go. We're hitting this pawn. And we're hitting it twice, right? And it's pinned. So defending doesn't really do a whole lot. Like, you're still going to lose the pawn. So this is where you think about being active, right? When defending doesn't even actually defend it. But Jim does play a defensive move, which, I mean, we can still take it if we want, I think. What are their options? Okay. John decides to take with the rook, which, I mean, let's just say takes. We can push this, but we can also push this. I don't know. This is kind of chaotic. This pawn's hanging. Ay, ay, ay. I'm not equipped to give a snap analysis on what the heck is going on here. I mean, we brought the rook here to quote-unquote defend. So it seems like silly to then move it again, right? We should have just went for something straight away. That wasn't gonna be in the line of fire here. So you would think that the idea was to just recapture. But rook d3. Rook d3 was better. Rook d3 was better. Is something from the chat. Rook d3. Let's get back to the game here. Oh my goodness. Shoot. Okay, now we're galloping in with the knight. And what do we do? I mean, now we just take, I guess, right? We take, and then we win yet another pawn. It's a little scary because this, but there are ways to defend your rook to free up your knight to move. So yeah, that's what we get. Takes and takes, and the move here should be knight takes, I think. Obviously rook takes just loses the game, I think. No. Our bishop's protecting. So we could take with the rook, I think. What if we take with the rook? Oh, tricky. Nope. Then we've lost our protection there. So now we're back to almost equal if that happens. So taking with the rook can be very, very bad. Gotta take with the knight if you're gonna take. Me personally, I probably wouldn't rush with this. I like to rush, but I don't know that I would feel comfortable taking that pawn just yet. It's not going anywhere. We can win it later. I would just get my knight off of this awkward square here, defended by this lone rook. Just get it out here maybe. Like here, for example, although now we have this? No. Bishop. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's all kind of winning for white. As long as you don't blunder a piece like I did. Okay, it looks like we got to move, which is bishop back. Huh. What does that move do? Like it gets out of the attack of the knight. I guess that's why this movie was fine because we leave that hanging, but we take care. And black with an extra piece should be able to win this. Although the more we trade down and the fewer the pawns are, even being up a piece, obviously doesn't necessarily mean you win. If it's just the king and the knight that you're up, then you don't win. So you still have to make something happen. The hardest part of the game, the hardest part that I have a hard time with, is the conversion, right? We're winning. White is winning. It's just how do we complete the win? So time's going to start to become a factor. Time is going to be a factor here shortly. I'm going to take a quick break. I will be right back. All right, we're back. What do we got? We're pushing. Whew, it's looking scary. Black putting the pressure on. John takes the pawn. Black has two passed pawns. How are we going to promote? Okay, we've got protecting with the bishop. But there is g4, which forces another trade, essentially. Doubling your pawns. So if John can find that, be in pretty good shape. So what black wants is to get this pawn up one more square. And things start getting really difficult. The problem is, how do you protect it once you push it up to d2? Obviously this knight, which has been horrible all game, actually ironically becomes very useful here, protecting that d2 push and blockading, as we see in the live game. So how's black going to make progress? Time a factor. Jim not wasting hardly any time. Immediately brings rook down to the 7th. Hits the knight. And I guess the problem is, what do you do now? I guess you can start pushing this pawn, right? And then make something happen, maybe? But it's just, how do you actually get these pawns to the other side of the board? It's not that easy. This guy's blockaded. It's not going anywhere. And John finds that great move that we mentioned. Kicking the bishop back. This pawn's not being hit by 2 pieces anymore, so I guess we don't really have to stay on this diagonal anymore. But I guess we go back and come around, maybe, as an option. Let's see. Okay, he goes back all the way. Which, we've got these 2 pieces lined up. Is that a problem? I don't know. I suppose not, because if this, then just this, right? And we can't take because this pawn is getting in. So I guess in that sense, these 2 pieces lined up like this is not a problem. Time of the essence. The guy's no longer having to notate because Jim is under 5 minutes. So we got the knight galloping into the center, which, man, this is tense. Let's see. All right, so we got, let's see, what did I miss? Bishop, just the bishop move. Bishop move, and then knight gallops in with check. And then the king moves over. And the white's got to move the knight. Or protect the knight. Somehow, which is not possible. Going here is not possible right now. Can take the bishop. It's an option. And that's what white does. How do we recapture? Or do we recapture? We do recapture in the game. Another option was just to take like this. Now this knight gets back. Time is a problem. Minute 52 to go, and we got moves just flying in. Oof, what a game. I mean, I guess this pawn is just blockaded though, right? And how do we push that pawn? I just don't see how we do. I think we have to distract with this other pawn to make something happen. Gotta get this knight out of the way, but I also don't want to trade pieces, so we're kind of... That's why it's very hard for black right now, I think. Just out of pieces to make these promotions happen. John doing a good job of defending right now. John is on the clock, although I'm not seeing the clock move. That makes me nervous. Let's refresh. The clock has stopped. Do we have a controversy? I don't know. Is Jason being called in to settle a dispute? Let's see if we can get some intel. Did the guys agree to a draw? I can't see that. Why would white agree to a draw here? Unclear what's going on right now. We have a minute 54 for Jim with the black pieces to 4 minutes and 9 seconds John with the white pieces, who is down a pawn but is a piece up. Waiting to hear what's going on. I'm assuming there's some dispute. That seems like the most likely explanation at this point. Very tense moment. Or maybe DGT just had a hiccup with the pieces moving so quickly. Maybe the system bonked out somehow. But the clocks have stopped. Not sure what's going on. Ideas from the chat, knight a4, and then into c3 to dislodge some of the stuff maybe. Still no word from Jason about what's going on. Let me check Facebook, make sure there's nothing weird. I still don't know what happened. I'm not seeing anything. Come on, Jason. Not sure what's going on. We have a really exciting game. I just don't know what the holdup could be. I can only imagine there being a dispute. I don't understand why the clock sort of stopped. Otherwise. Oh, it says 1/2, 1/2. In the bottom right. Wow, they agreed to a draw? Okay. That explains it. Round 2, Jim gets white. Alright. Well, that settles it. We have a draw in round 1, which was just a wild game. I wish I had all the moves saved. I jumped around so much, unfortunately. But like if we go back to here, I mean, just watch how, oh, see that's the wrong branch, sorry. Yeah. I went on too many branches and I lost my place in the actual game. Shoot. So this is where we ended up though. Right here. The guys agreed to a draw. Let's get the live board back. Okay, so all the way back at the beginning, let's get all these moves. Yeah, just looking at the live board, everybody, I mean, see how this game unfolds. Black just taking space, taking pawns, galloping in with a knight bravely, just trading 3 pawns up, just cruising along, and then boom, just hangs a piece. And from there it's just sort of chaos. We got these pawns trying to march up the board, John defending with a blockade. And I think just with time ticking down, these guys getting under 5 minutes, got really nervous. And it looks like it just agreed to a draw right here, which is understandable, I guess, with low time. I do the same thing. It's like I don't know what's going on. It's just so stressful. It's just, both players are like, okay, draw. Totally understandable. Very exciting game. Very curious to see what happens with Jim with the white pieces now. Board is set up. Let's get a new game. And let's get ready to rock and roll for game 2. Black was better, that's right. Black was better for quite a while. Most of the game, Black was better until they hung their bishop. And then the ending there was just so chaotic. Chase, how's it going, bud? The score is 1/2, 1/2. We just finished a chaotic first game where Black was up 3 pawns and then hung a bishop. So now we got an English Jim now with the white pieces. And while these guys get settled into game 2, I want to take a short break and be back in just a couple minutes. Live board will be going though. And yes, in English. In English. Trying to find. I see hearts. Thanks everybody for your hearts. Lots of love for the commentator. Or for the English, one of the two. Alright, I'm going to be right back. And we will catch the conclusion of the first half of the political match. Will it be John and President Biden, or will it be Jim and President Trump coming out victorious? I don't know, but we're gonna have to relive this again in November, aren't we? On that note, I'll be right back. All right, we're back. We have a child screaming in the background, but we're back. Okay, so what do we got? Alright, so we're caught up. So we've got sort of a King's Indian thing going on here. With sort of a Queen's Pawn type game. I mean, played this many times. I would think that White's just gonna bring out the knight to c3 and the game will continue. I don't know that there are many other moves. Okay, knight to d2. That is not how I play this. but that is Jim's choice. And then we got castles by John. So, huh. Why the knight here? Okay. Standard. And John just blitzing out. His response. Wants to go here. Okay, we got bishop d3. And we've got immediate. The guys are just blitzing everything out. Blitzing. Black is going the double cappuccino. The double fianchetto. White plugging the center. Which, I don't know about this. Just feels a little weird. Guys are just playing just super quick. I like it, they're confident. So, I mean, White's just got a castle still, so I don't see why not do that. I mean, eventually this diagonal could be a little nasty, but right now I suppose it's not a huge problem. Chase is saying Black can break in the center. I think that sounds like a good plan. I mean, White's sort of like a little bit overextended here with these pawns, I think. I would have probably kept the pawn back for a while longer and restricted this knight. Music back on, sorry. I need to get more playlists put together. So what's White doing? I mean, White... It's just so awkward with this knight on d2. Like, I don't play games like that. I feel awkward being out of touch with my bishop. I like my queen protecting my bishop. Like, there's nothing crazy gonna happen to my bishop. It's not just gonna get attacked easily, but I mean, this knight can gallop in and hit it. So it just makes me feel uneasy. This just feels awkward. I'm just always used to having this knight on c3. And so it just feels a little strange right now. e5 and c5, Chase says, are great spots for the knight. I agree. e5 and c5, right behind that, with support of the pawn on d6. e5 right now, not possible, just because, I mean, it's possible, but got two defenders of that square, so probably would gallop into, gallop into c5. If I had to guess, is where it would go right now. But it's White's move. I think castling is just natural here. I don't see why not. Yeah, so with this, I mean, with this pawn being on d5 already, yeah, we've hemmed in the bishop for now, but there's pawn breaks, right? I also don't like the fact that I can't really push this pawn. Like, I kind of like having this pawn back so that I can, you know, use them together. Or getting bishop back, which I just don't... What was the threat? I didn't really see a threat. I mean, there was like knight to hit the bishop, but then you could have just moved it back then, right? Like, you still have to castle. So I think that was a slight just inaccuracy, just nothing crazy bad or anything. I just don't quite follow. Maybe I'm missing something. Chase is saying knight h5. For black and white has positional issues. Yeah. I don't see knight h5 happening just yet. I like when the king hasn't castled yet, like I don't necessarily want to take this and just open up the rook and allow my opponent to like maybe go this way or something. So I would hold off on hitting this bishop. I mean, this black bishop is the dark square bishop for a white is just bad now, right? It's just like hanging out here with nothing to do. So I'm not in a hurry to capture it. All right, so we get the knight galloping in, which makes sense. I like this move. You can strike at it this way. Obviously our bishop's hanging though, so that's again why I just don't like this knight here. It just doesn't belong there. I guess you can just move back. You can move back this way too. Going back to e2, although it might be a sound move, feels, in the spirit of the game, feels like a waste because you just could have gone to e2 to begin with, right? Yeah, Chase was wondering if we would see this move and just defend and not worry about it. Instead we get this. And I mean, yeah, I think like white hasn't done anything terribly wrong in this game. It's just been really just this knight, you know, going here and then here, and now it's in the way of this pawn on this b2 pawn getting the connect 4, right? We're gonna have to slide the rook over at some point, just as an aside, but the guys are really playing pretty quick, I feel like. Getting after it real quick in this game. I think that black... What does black want to do right now? I think... I mean... undermining the center here. It's kind of an interesting idea. If it takes, we can take. Kind of like that. Then white just has the e-pawn, a lone central e-pawn, compared to black would then have, whoops, would have the E and D pawns and a better pawn structure. Instead, we get a pawn break, which I think is understandable. Wanting to crack it open. And a hard move to play, but pretty much the best move is just to take. Which I think the problem is if you don't take, I mean, I guess this can happen. We can take here as well, and I mean, we've just got everything just looking at this d5 square. So, and once again, the white king is still not castled. So like if you defend like this, and I don't know, it's just starting to feel a little bit awkward not having castled yet. So I quite like this move. I think it puts the pressure on white. So Jim, considering his options, I think clearly take or not to take is the question, and he decides not to take. Pinning the knight. So that in case of this trade, he's thinking, well, now the knight's pinned. But the problem is, you can just take anyways, because once you take here and takes, then takes. Okay. Black just sliding up, getting out of the pin. Simple chess. Not sure if that's a square I would have gone to or not, but seems like a fine option. And now white needs to decide what they're going to do. Didn't want to take the pawn before, and so probably don't want to take it now either. Eek takes the knight, which I mean isn't the end of the world, but why? We didn't have to do that. Okay, this B pawn is hanging again. Although, if we venture out too far, we can get trapped over there. Nothing too crazy, but you know, a knight could venture over here, and now your bishop has to reroute this way, and we want this bishop here for now, I think. So we might need to spend a move to go back that way. I guess it's not immediate, but typically with this fianchetto here, we want to push this f pawn, and so yeah, black's pawn structure better and has a bishop pair, so that's correct, Chase. It's probably where the 1.6 comes from, because we're equal on material, but 2 bishops versus 2 knights, if this board opens up, is going to be extremely important. And we've got a couple moves. We've got a couple rook moves. This makes sense defending. And then we get this, which if we back up here, I think it wants this. Like, let's just crack this open and open up the file for our rook. But we don't get that. we get castles by white. Makes a lot of sense. Kings are both safe at the moment. But for the second game in a row, the black pieces dominating. Do I think white will try to alpha 0 H for attack? I like that idea, personally. I mean, especially before castling. But this was all opening up, so I think castling had to happen. But yeah, now, why not? Like, what's stopping from just doing this and forcing something to open up, right? I like that. I suppose you could get like queen over to stop that idea. What's the plan here for black though? I think we still want to open up. We still want to open up the position. I mean, taking here, recapturing with the queen is not possible, so we're telling white to recapture this way. Maybe another pawn break after that. I don't know. Let's see. All right, rook over. Not quite sure what the idea is there. We're just staring into this pawn. Is the idea that we want to do this? Not sure. All right, now white, whoops, excuse me. Bringing the knight into the center. Yikes. And now all of a sudden, just E5 is pretty good. Oof, what's going on here? Yep, because if we move this knight, yeah. Uh-oh, spaghetti-o time, as Hikaru would say. So what on earth do? We just have to take, I guess. Ugh, that looks bad. Black is in the driver's seat. If black finds this pawn push, black is looking very good. Yes, indeed, Chase. E5 followed by E4. It's not immediately, didn't immediately jump out at me, but boom, boom. And black would be up a piece. Is John gonna find it? I have a feeling he is going to find it. Even if you don't see it immediately, it does feel good to push E5 here, gain a tempo on the knight, and expand and gain some space. So I could see E5 being played. After E5 is played, if you haven't calculated it out, once the knight moves, it becomes a lot easier to see this fork. And I think this is a very real possibility of this happening. believe it or not, even just this is pretty good still, right? We still win a pawn, mouse slip. That's not gonna happen. Oh, we got pushes on the board though. You don't have to look at this. We don't have to look at this anymore. This is exactly where we are. Pushes. John finds it. Jim. On the ropes. What do we do? What do we do? Oh. It's so hard to just play knight takes e5, but I mean, at least you get a pawn out of it, right? Oof. I mean, if you back up, that's just so yucky. I mean, let's just say you back up and this comes. I mean, you get to the queen and then like you're getting taken here and your structure's ruined. It's just so yucky. Ugh. What's he gonna do? My vote would be to take the pawn. Another option is just to ignore it. Push e4, recapture the pawn back this way. That's another option. It kind of like stops the bleeding. I quite like that one too. I would probably go with that one. I would probably go with that. But we get moves back, which is so much harder to play this. Oh, wow. This is just immediate. And then where do you go with the queen? Just kicks it back. Takes. Got a ruined pawn structure. Here it comes. Ouch. All right. Well, black in the driver's seat, and I'm not going to write this off because last game, black was in the driver's seat up 3 pawns, wound up losing a bishop, we wound up at the draw, but this feels different. It feels like being up 3 pawns is one thing, kind of jockeying for position, but just getting obliterated down the center of the board like this feels harder to recover from. I'm not sure. And Chase saying that's what happens in these systems when black is allowed to play e5. You just get, and I've had this happen to myself probably numerous times. I've kind of learned my lesson playing d4, being a d4 player, that I don't let this happen to me, hopefully, most of the time. But you're so right. It's like once this pawn breaks through, it's just becomes difficult. Yeah, and even I mean when this queen moves, I mean, white is forced to recapture, right? Because this capture is coming with tempo on the knight, and if you don't recapture it, you're going to wind up losing another pawn. And the rook's going to have to slide over, and it's just too much. That's just going to be game over. So recapturing is a must. Jim is just trying to figure out right now where to put it, where to put the queen, and there's not a whole lot of options. I mean, you can run out this way, but I just think that sliding back to c2 is the best. I mean, you can go back to, I mean, just all feels yucky, but I think c2 is the best option. Oof. Thinking about it. John just sitting in the driver's seat on numerous accounts. It started with the bishop pair and a better pawn structure, and now it's turned into just going to be up a piece. And not just a better pawn structure for black, but ripping the roof off the king as well. So tough. Very tough. So yeah, we got a tie match right now. There's going to be 2 more games on Saturday. 2 games tonight. And the first game was just crazy wild, topsy-turvy. One player winning, the other player winning, duking it out, getting into time pressure, agreeing to a draw is how the first game went. And so this game, not as topsy-turvy, maybe a little more smooth, where black has just kind of been slowly but surely gaining an advantage with each and every move. And now white back up against the wall. Jim's got to move the queen, just looking for the best square. Not sure. Not sure where he's going to go. Probably a little bit stunned too, just kind of very quickly got kind of caught in the center here. So kind of, I like that he's kind of taking his time to just kind of collect himself. But now it's probably time to just kind of pick a square, because there aren't that many options. So just take an option. And sometimes with this stuff too, you're trying to not only just where does the queen go, but what's happening to my position, like trying to envision like how bad is this actually going to be. And it's just kind of human nature. You're just before it actually happens, you want to brace yourself mentally for like, how bad is this, even though you just know you have to move the queen. Like, you might as well just do it. But I do this too. It's like, oh no, what's actually happening here? Trying to envision what it's going to look like and what are my options from here, when probably the smart thing to do is just kind of make a move. I don't think there are a whole lot of differences between the various options. Minuscule differences between, I don't know, queen d2, queen c2, queen b3 really are the only. I mean, going all the way back just doesn't make sense. Going all the way over just seems a little, I don't know. I mean, I guess you're hitting this, but that's not going to last. Wait a second. There's no way he took that pawn. There's no way he did that, did he? I am so confused. What just happened? Why would Jim do that? Is this really happening? I don't understand. I am so confused. I mean, Jim is quite capable of a player to not make that move. I just don't understand. I don't get it. Is he just on tilt now? Like, I mean, he thought for quite a while. I don't know. I mean, now it's just like resigns, right? I'm very confused. Could be a political statement. Chase says it could be a political statement. Wow. I don't know. I mean, that is just so strange. I thought that was like a DGT hiccup or something, because it just doesn't make sense. Why would you sacrifice your queen for a pawn? I don't know, folks, but I think this is over. This game is over. I don't see how White's gonna win, or draw. I don't understand. Yeah, I know that Jim is very capable. He's a very tricky player, and there's no explanation for why he didn't see that. Chess is hard. I guess mistakes like this do happen. I've hung my queen before, too. I guess that's the explanation. Just didn't feel like... It didn't feel like that was going to happen right there. I'm still kind of a little bit in shock. So now we're just kind of... I'm not quite sure where this is going to go. I don't think... I mean, I suppose that like something crazy can happen and this game can turn around somehow, but I just don't see how. I mean, White's got a beautiful pawn structure. We had the flying V. Almost, right? But I mean, Black just needs to start, I don't know, hitting the center and utilizing this queen. Just throw all the pawns up the board, trade pieces. I don't think there's a whole lot to do. So yeah, backing up a few moves, I mean, it really just started with this moving of the knight into the center, into the line of fire. Black pushing the pawn, not forcing the knight back, but the knight back is where it went. Better would have been to either take or push and recapture this way. But we went retreat, and here is the fork that was the setup, and inexplicably here Jim takes the pawn and Black recaptures, and now we have f4. John brings the bishop back to its beautiful home. Is Jim just gonna keep pushing for f5 maybe? I mean, it's all just so slow. I don't see how. I don't see any tricks. We have 2 rooks and 2 knights, and the position's opening up. It's gonna take some gigantic blunder Or miracle. Knight g3. So yeah, let's just start cracking the center open. I don't see another plan. We're gonna have to push some pawns forward to utilize our pieces. The bishops can work together. Our rooks are in the center, primed, ready to go, locked and loaded. Let's just blast open the center. There's just no other plan. That's what we gotta do. What to do, what to do. Okay, I'm gonna sleep at the wheel here. We got bishop in check and king over. All right, check, king over. Now what are we gonna do with the bishop there? Are we going to just push for c5 or something? I still think c6 is better though to... Okay, bringing the queen in. I don't think we're ready to bring the pieces in. I think we have to push the pawns because there's no attack. We need to get more pieces involved. We need to open these lines for our pieces to get a checkmate attack going. This queen comes in. I mean, you can just bring the knight to f3. Hitting bishop, who doesn't have protection right now, has to probably retreat back. So I don't know, maybe this game isn't over. Maybe Jim can find a way. All right, plays the best move. Knight f3. Where do we put the bishop? We just brought it into the position, right? Wait, what just happened? Oh no. Well, folks, it's not over until it's over, right? We took a pawn, but we hung our bishop. So, Jim is not going silently into the night. Is that what they say? Is that the saying? Is that a thing? Putting up a fight. John made kind of a lazy move there, and Jim snapped the bishop off the board. Chasing h5. h5 and h4. Fixed bayonets in charge. I like that plan. Except now we gotta move our queen, which ventured into the territory. We needed to open things up with the pawns. Queen goes back, disallowing our h5, h4 idea. But we're still up plenty of material. We're up essentially a queen for a queen for a piece, basically. What does white do? I mean, I guess you just bring the other rook to the center, right? So you bring the rook to the center. Okay, Jim bringing the rook into the game. Way up the board. Very interesting. I mean, that kind of looks like fun, right? Let's line up something on this pawn, but I just don't think there's enough pieces to do it. But we're getting in. We're getting in, and we're gonna try to finagle something here. I mean, I guess his plan is to double. This bishop is kind of out of the game. So I guess Jim still has some chances here. John's gonna have to stay sharp. It's very easy in chess to you know, relax. You know, you've won the queen, just relax, bring home the game. I do this myself. I get frustrated the opponent hasn't resigned. I start getting lazy, throwing pieces all over the board, and then oops, checkmate. So John is in the driver's seat, but has to still pay attention. Already lost a piece. We got to stay concentrated. And yeah, why was counterplay allowed? Chase is saying, yeah, we do have counterplay now for white. I think Chase didn't want to run the queen all the way out of here. Wanted to keep the queen kind of in white's territory now that we had brought it in. Now the queen's very passive over here, also blocking our pawn storm idea here. I still think we got to just open the lines for the rooks. Gotta do it somehow, some way. And this is really the only pawn break that makes sense now. It's the only pawn break we have right now. Okay, now we're bringing the queen back into the game, which is good. We can start doing this again, which looks mighty potent now, right? We've got a target. We've got this knight sitting here. This rook can come back and hit a tempo on the queen, but it's like we just moved the rook up, right? So do we want to do that? Just lose some time. We're also hitting this knight, right? So it's not a thing because we're just gonna lose. So what does white do? I think white can defend with the rook. It just feels so awful to do, but you can just defend with the rook. Or you can move the knight. You can move the knight here and potentially get kicked around. You can move the knight. You can move the knight back where it's defended by this knight. I don't know. I like this move queen to e3. I would like to see the h5, h4 idea that Chase mentioned. I feel like that is very straightforward. No risk at all. Yeah, I mean, Jim is also lower on time, so Jim is just has to figure something out here. I mean, he might be if he had more pieces, trying to figure out how to ignore this threat and go for a attack on this pawn, but I just don't think that works. So he moves the knight back. And now black can double. Black can double like this. Black can double just by doing that. I don't know, is there anything wrong with this move now? I mean, it's a move I've been wanting to play for a long time. Just doesn't see anything wrong with it. It's probably the move I would play. But I am commentating and it's much easier to make moves on the board with an engine. Okay, so black has to decide what to do. In the driver's seat, this pawn break and this pawn break. I think pawn breaks make sense. Black, interestingly, sacking the rook. Not a bad move. Not a bad move. Because white is just going to run out of pieces. If takes, we've got basically a queen for a rook. That's what we got. So let's see. White moved the rook back to hit the queen before taking the rook. Which is an interesting idea. This is getting kind of crazy. So what white is saying is you don't have a square for the queen to go to and protect your rook, right? In order to protect the rook, we have to be here, here, here. And this square is taken. This square and this square are taken by the knight. So a very nice move by Jim here to try to just win this rook outright and make things very interesting. For example, if we just decide to move out of the way. I mean, I guess we're still threatening this piece. So it's I guess we're not ever just cleanly winning the rook is the thing. Yeah, I mean, we take and then queen takes, and so yeah, we're still just kind of running out of pieces here. But I really like this initiative of trying to make John do something. So if John were to make the absolute wrong move and just like run the queen completely away, then things would get very interesting, right? Now we're cooking, but doubtful that's gonna happen. So So here we are. And what's happening? We've got Jim essentially giving his queen away for free. Took a pawn, but has been battling back ever since. And won a bishop. And now is winning a rook. Not for free, but he's winning in exchange. John has chosen queen to d2, which is a good move. Keeping an eye on this knight. And after takes, most certainly we're going to get takes. And even though white has given a really good fight, there's still just a lot of work to do because we're just running out of pieces. And we have to move our knight. We can move it in with tempo, I guess, but we just have to be careful because we're just low in pieces. So the black bishop has been out of the game for quite a while. I think that problem is solvable with the pawn break, but you can also just slide the rook over and reroute the bishop into the game if you wanted. But yeah, white just has a lot of work to do still. So yeah, hello everyone and happy Thursday. We are live from virtual Waco, Texas. Actually, I'm here in Austin. And just fixing the scene a little bit here. All right, we're back. It's been a long day. My brain is running out of gas a little bit, but let's try to bring it home. So, I mean, white's got to pretty much move the knight. I don't think there's anything else you can do here. And it just seems so natural to bring it up to f6. The king's going to come up. So we just always have to keep in mind that this rook is guarding our knight. And anything to dislodge the knight, or the rook is going to lose the knight. So I mean, let's say for instance we did jump in with the knight and the king came up. I mean, even taking here and sacking the queen is an option if nothing else is done to protect it. Like for example, just like a nothing move, we can do this, and this, and it's just pretty much game over. There's nothing white can do. So that's just part of the deal here. And I think we have to make sure that in this case that we probably just go ahead and double up. It's our only real chance, I think, to keep going down this path that we've gone down. Oh my goodness, but the king runs to the corner, which is shocking. Okay. So we get king to the corner. What does that change? It gives white a little bit more hope. We've got cats joining the stream. Hi, Max. Yeah, cattail. Okay, we're doubling up. Doubling up. Now what? Oh, look. Maybe c6 now. Please. Please, please play c6. I've been wanting that move to be played all game. Black just needs to open up the position. Give that bishop some hope. Bring out your rook. Yeah, that's a good plan for black. What about boom if white does a nothing move? Opening up, bringing the rook down, threatening mate, getting this bishop involved. All that sounds good. Say hi, Max.
Hey, Max.
This cat is, his snuggle time is right about now. Right about now I'd be getting in bed and, he would get his rejuvenation pets. Alright, what do we got? Time is gonna be a factor eventually. I mean, John still has 16 minutes, but eventually, I mean, I lost my last tournament. I had a forced mate, you know, I had captured my opponent's queen and I had just like a completely winning position and managed to lose. So it's just, it happens. So even though John's up quite a bit of material, well, basically a queen for a rook, and is in the driver's seat, it's not over. What options do we have? How do we keep this? How do we keep the pressure on with black? There's this move. There's King G7, which is the move that we needed to play last turn. And then there's, I mean, I want to move the rook to the center, but I can't because this knight. I mean, black just needs to trade the pieces, right? Black needs to force some trades somehow, or open up the position. For example, trading a queen for the two rooks is still winning. So if the rooks wanted this pawn, for instance, and this king was guarding the pawn on G7, we could just trade it, trade down, and that would still be perfectly fine. Black has run the queen back. Which defends the pawn, sort of. I mean, it doesn't really defend the pawn because we still need another defender. That's why we need the king here. So seeing the weakness though, seeing the weakness in the pawn on F7, guarding it, but it's just, I guess, anyone's game. I mean, who knows? These games have been so topsy-turvy. It's so hard to really call a winner, you know. But everything's just a little bit too slow. Like, you know, like let's just like route the knight over here and then hit this pawn, but like, you know, you just push, right? So nothing quite works. There's just not enough firepower. White just doesn't have enough. But black just... The main thing for black, even though black's played a good game, is just had a great center strike with that pawn, but has not pushed any other pawns. And I think, you know, bringing the pieces in behind the pawns, this game might have been over already. The queen kind of came in to White's camp, got kind of kicked around a little bit. We lost a piece out down here. We lost a rook. We lost an exchange, rather. I think some of that could have been avoided with some pawn pushes. But here we are anyways, and queen's back guarding. And I think the problem is white just doesn't really have anything, doesn't really have a plan. I mean, you can't really move the knight except for back here, which doesn't really do anything. Like I said, it's like rerouting. Like what do you do? Like you move the knight back, then you just get hit right immediately with f5. So if not moving the knight, you can't slide the rooks over. You can just push your pawns, but I don't know. That's not really gonna help, I don't think. So I think Jim probably, you know, is getting a little bit low on time, is probably going through this in his mind right now. Like, what can I do now? I've kind of aligned my pieces how I would like them to be aligned, and just don't know what to do from here. I mean, you could take here, right? King takes. Let's trade. It's just still not enough. At the end of the day, I mean, I guess it is bishop and rook versus bishop. Sorry, what would it be? Rook versus rook and bishop. Maybe that's what he's looking at. Maybe he's wondering, like, maybe that's my best chance. I don't know. It's the only thing I can think of right now. What does the computer say about this one? Okay, here. I mean, if you take, for instance. Okay, white's got the rook on the 7th, which is awesome. This is gonna be a long game to get all these, get the king up. Okay, so he pushes the pawn. So here we are. Let's go back. All right, h4. The reason why I wasn't a huge fan of this is just because this and this, you know, making way for this rook. That square's guarded by the knight, but I don't know. I think the queen and the bishop can take the two rooks. So even if we drop that exchange, I think it's still winnable. So I don't know. John can just, I guess, shut it all down with just h5. Just stop any nonsense. John instead elects to bring another defender to this pawn. which is a good move. Now this pawn is definitely defended. There are no more tricks with this. I don't know. Time is getting to be a factor though. Jim's gonna have to come up with a plan. If h4 was part of the plan, I think h5 has gotta be part of the plan. I don't see why you don't push now. Although I guess he's probably seeing that after this and this, again, you're still trying to find moves. You take, but then you push. I don't know. It's looking tough. Game 2, everybody, of 4. Game 1, the topsy-turvy draw. Game 2 is looking more and more like black is going to come out victorious after Jim blundered his queen. Jim did a good job fighting back to this point. Still has chances, I suppose. But it's just looking like there won't be enough firepower to make a checkmate. There aren't any real tricks per se in the position. I think it's just going to be a numbers game that there just isn't enough, but I could be wrong. So let's see what happens here. It's going to start to get dicey with the time. Okay, so we get king up, and then we get white pushing the G pawn, which I don't like. I wanted the H pawn. I thought that was the plan. But I guess we can still push this. John getting the bishop into the game. Okay. But what about just opening this up, right? That seems like a good plan. The bishop's hitting this square too, where the rook might block, so I like getting the bishop into the game. White now getting low on time. Under 5 minutes is danger zone. We are now basically playing a rapid game on chess.com. Jim trying to come up with a plan. I just realized maybe White Jim. Maybe it wasn't that he blundered his queen. Maybe he thought there was some weird checkmate thing happening with the way those pawns were coming in and the queen coming over. He might have, just thinking back, he might have thought that after captures there was a queen coming in for mate or something. Maybe that's why he thought he had to sack the queen. I'm just thinking, because I'm still just a little bit confused why we blundered the queen earlier. All right. White moving the king up. Not sure I get that. I mean, just queen up, check. Yep. Now what? Gotta go back, essentially. Back to where he came from. I like black prying at this. I like bringing the bishop to cut off the coordination with this knight. Also, this pawn's guarding it, so it's not the end of the world, but let's just bring the bishop and just be safe forever, essentially. I mean, knight could come in here and check, but we just take the knight, they take our bishop, but oh well. King now over this way. I think there's merit now for this type of idea. And force a trade. And then it's just a queen and rook versus two rooks. Should be straightforward. Okay, we're getting moves. What's happening? Queen in, rook up, queen back. Okay. Queen in, rook up, queen back. Time getting low. King up again. My lord. Why are we doing that? The king is not going to be a attacking piece. That is not going to happen. So I'm not quite sure what's going on with that. I mean, you could just do this again. But to what end? Black does not want to repeat moves. We haven't repeated moves, right? Because we did this rook reconfiguration here. But I guess white just saying, I'm just going to move back and forth, essentially, forever until you do something. And here we have it, the move that we've been looking at. And essentially shutting down white's initiative. White can try to dislodge that pawn. If takes, we would win another piece, and then it would start to get very interesting. That's what we're doing. Black's not going to take, though. What black can do is, now that the king's exposed again, move up here. And get this bishop off so we can take. Do we want to take, though? I'm not sure. Okay, so that doesn't happen though. We get king back. Oh no. Bummer. Okay, white push, which I think that like just completely kills any chance of a attack. I mean, there's zero chance now for a white to break through. Like, there's just nothing. I thought takes, right? But now we get check. Blocking with the rook. Wow. Time is just low, so very hard to do anything right now. I mean, maybe the thinking is just, you know, some mating threat, or mating net, but I just don't. There's just no way to get a mating net going for white. With this, as long as this bishop's blocking these rooks. You know, if we could magically just teleport the rook over to here, it'd be mate. Okay, we went back. And now up again. And now up again, I think is what happened. So that's a repetition. So for black, just push a pawn or something. No, what's happening? This is not happening. We just got another repetition. Oh my gosh. They are repeating to a draw. What am I even seeing? Wow. They drew that game. What on earth? That is the most bizarre finish. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what to say. Black is just completely winning and agrees to repeat moves for some reason. I don't know. They're just saving the kill shot for this weekend, or maybe they're so fearful of wearing their opponent's you know, political t-shirt that just can't seem to close the deal. But in both games, though, just looked like there was a win to be had, especially in this game. Wow. My lord, what's happening? What is happening? Okay, let's look at the analysis, shall we, on this game. I don't even know if I have it in me. That was just... wow. That's crazy. Whew. Can I just copy. Let's just copy this. And how do I bring up an analysis board? Oh, I don't want to lose the games though. But yeah, let's just look through this real quick. In English, kind of a strange opening from White. And this was where things started to go wrong. We had this fork, and then inexplicably here, I was wondering if back, boom, boom, just worried about checkmate somehow or something, which is why he took the pawn. I don't understand. And just fighting back, loses a bishop, loses an exchange, and White just trying to make something happen. Position gets locked up, and we get a repetition of moves. I do not understand, my friends, what is going on. But that was exciting. Thanks everybody for watching. I hope we get some blood drawn in games 3 and 4 on Saturday. I don't think I'll be streaming Saturday, but maybe I will. Who knows? Thanks for watching. I hope everybody's having a wonderful Thursday night and has a good Friday tomorrow / Easter weekend, long day weekend, wherever you might be safe. And yeah, thanks everybody. It's been fun.